I just want to go after Steven for a second. You are so hypocritical.
Oh, are you actually doing this?
Yeah, I'm 100% doing this.
I can.
You're not even let me talk. You don't even know.
No, I'm not. No. Hold on. No. I'm gonna ask Abba one quick question because this whole line of training you're about to go down is. Abba, if those guys were 20 yards away from them, do you think the guy could have said, "Hey, I've got a gun, get back," or do you think he would still be able to pull it out and snipe them from 20 yards away? No, Abba, what are you doing?
Jesus Christ!
Hold up, Steven. I don't even think what I just said is crazy.
Did you see the prankster getting shot? I saw the prankster getting shot thing. That was not self-defense in any size, shape. Like, that was just wild. That jury was unhinged and out of control. I don't know if the state is going for appeal or whatever. I don't know how much they even care, but that was not even remotely self-defense. That was, how long did they even deliberate on that? Trump said we shoot shoplifters. Amen. Amen, Pisco. That's the world. That's Destiny's world. Yeah. I think I saw that they just closed. Abba was in chat. At first they were split and came back later with not guilty. Oh, yeah, that was wild. If someone is harassing you for over 2 minutes and they don't stop, are you allowed to shoot them? No. No! At first I was on the shooter side because the story came out first, but then I saw the video. Bro, that guy was not even remotely threatened. Am I crazy? Were there different videos out that I didn't see? The guy was definitely annoying, but bro, this dude like 200 millisecond like hip fight. It was like boom. It was like I think I said yesterday, some revolver ocelot shit. Oh my god. I wonder if we should consider ever revealing jury members' identities or misconduct is deemed to be abusing the fragile justice. Wait, what? That sounds unhinged. That was self-defense. They deliberated for a full day. Oh wait, did I miss something? Self-defense, there probably needs to be some reasonable assessment of how threatened you are, and there probably needs to be some reasonable escalatory pathway for defending yourself. It's not enough to say that because a guy is big and a little bit intimidating in front of you in a public place, that you can instantaneously go for the execute. Okay? That's probably not... That is a wild take. That is a wild take. All right? Unless I'm missing... Somebody can link me another video. Unless I'm missing something, I don't think there were any reasonable... Now you're wrong on this one. Not only am I not wrong, there's like loads of case evidence to back me up on this. I'm sorry. There needs to be like a reasonable threat to your life, or the person possesses the ability and has the inclination to do great bodily harm to you, and it is like an imminent threat. You can say that I'm wrong if you want, but I'm not. I mean, there's so much case law to back me up here. It's like not even an argument. Like that's an unhinged... That is a wild take. I mean, I say that, but to be fair, juries have ruled on both sides of this historical. I don't know what... Is there any recourse when your jury is retarded? Yes. And it's called not going to trial. This is why people like to settle out of court. Or I say settle. This is why people like plea bargains and stuff. Because you never know what a jury is going to say. You truly don't. Destiny, he didn't shoot him in the head or something. He shot him in the stomach. First of all, it is highly possible to shoot somebody and lethally kill them by shooting them in the stomach. Okay? I know that we're kind of in video game land where, like, stomach shots are, like, 2 points and, like, other than headshots, you never die. Okay? But Destiny's just wrong on this one. How can I be on the other end here? I'm, like, the most, like, pro self-defense kill people guy, like, on the fucking internet right now. Okay? That's, like, a left-leaning person. If you're disagreeing with me on this, you're probably unhinged. Wait, link me the video. Hold on, link me the video. Maybe I'll watch it again and have a different take. Link me the video. Hold on. I think, yeah, not to be mean or write you guys off, but I'm pretty sure, like, people just hate pranksters. So there's just, like, nothing. Like, all common sense, like, goes out the window. I'm not showing this on camera because I think somebody dies. A minute and a half video.
What?
Quit thinking about my twinkle.
What's that?
Quit thinking about my twinkle.
No.
Quit thinking about my twinkle.
Get out of my business like outside. Stop.
Quit thinking about my twinkle.
Stop.
Bro! Hold on. Is there more to this? If a male is aggressively following you after you try to de-escalate, you absolutely should be able to shoot them. Aggressively following you? Bro, listen, you're in a public area. Talk to an adult, okay? I've got a lot of sympathy for my fellow 5'8" manlets out there. But go find an adult and say, hey, this guy with the backwards baseball cap is bullying me. Apparently more happened prior to that. If there's significantly more, if there's something different before this, then maybe, then my opinion could be swayed. But this was the video that I saw. Is there something else that changes this?
My name is Ian Runkle. I'm a Canadian criminal defense and firearms lawyer.
Canadian? Why would we ever care? Wait, does he have more of the video or no?
Before something turns awful. All right, let's have a look at this video. As I said, we're going to watch through it once just to see it as it is.
What?
Hey, quit thinking about my twinkle.
What's that mean?
Hey, quit thinking about my twinkle.
No.
Hey, quit thinking about my
Get out of my face and call cops on me. Stop.
Hey, quit thinking about my twinkle.
Stop!
All right, so got to cut out the actual moment of the shooting because it's YouTube.
There's got to be more. There's got to be more than this. There's got to be more than this. There has to be more than this.
Want to see that. Also be here, and it's this county or anybody like that. They're not going to pick a place where somebody can come in to help. So let's.
The prank is that he went up to him saying he had proof that he was a pedo, then played the audio. Chasing him down with his friend there is a threat. Yeah, it's definitely a type of threat, but not every threat is like severe bodily harm. You understand that, right? Sorry, but if a tall, huge dude puts his hands in my face while advancing with his friends surrounding me, well, without knowing it's a prank, it's reasonable to assume an assault is imminent for many people. Bro, you're 100% think this because it's a prankster YouTuber. Bro, I do not. No shot would you be saying this if it was anything else. I don't believe it. No shot would you be saying this if it was anybody else.
Let's keep going.
Oh, let's see.
What?
Hey, quit thinking.
So you see immediately his motion is he's moving back. He's clearly feeling threatened. He's backing away from this person. His body language, he's leaning back, and he's ending up against this counter as this much larger person moves in clearly to confront him and is getting into his personal space very quickly. This is something that is often a harbinger that you're.
To be fair, I've heard you say something along the lines of, I would never surrender my bodily autonomy and get my ass beat in the past. Yeah, but there has to be like a higher standard of a threat. Hold on. Okay, here's the question then. I'm sorry. Let's just iron this out right now. Do you think that anybody getting in your face is justification to shoot and kill people? I'm just curious. Is that if you guys say yes to that and you just own that position, that's fine. That can just be the world we live in. If that's where if that's that's Pisco's world, guys. Is that what we're saying? That if somebody gets in your face, that you can shoot and kill them? Is that the standard that we have now? So every protester that gets in somebody's face could be shot and killed. Okay. All right. Well, I see where we're at in chat. Jesus.
You're about to get attacked. People don't do this normally. People don't do this unless they have some sort of aggressive intention.
Thinking about my twinkle.
What's that mean?
Hey, quit thinking.
Now, you see the two of them move up very close, right up in his face, and the second guy points his finger at him, which is, again, when somebody's getting right in your personal space like that and starts pointing their finger at you, that's also an aggressive gesture. This is something that you use to communicate that you're willing to escalate to physical violence. These aren't just, sort of casual behaviors. What these guys are doing, what the joke is is that they're specifically making people fear that they're about to be physically attacked. And that's also reinforced by the nature of the message here. Some people online have said, oh, this is just it's just a weird sort of quirky message. It's not just a weird quirky message. They would have spent some time thinking about what message they wanted to include. And the message again is, hey, dip. So a swearing insult as the lead in. Quit thinking about my twinkle. Well, okay, what is that trying to imply? That sounds to me like a euphemism. And specifically a euphemism that is making an allegation about some sort of homosexual, thoughts or whatever. This is somebody who says seconds.
No. The only physical house on the side.
So he's backing up, he's you. This is something, I consider this to be a very high threat scenario. And again, this guy's outnumbered. He's trying to back up, but he's got two people. One of them is substantially larger than he is, confronting him. And this is out of the blue. He has very little time to react. This whole clip is 20 seconds.
No. The only physical house on the side.
So he's backing up. He clearly doesn't want any part of this confrontation. He tells them to stop. He's trying to leave. He paused at the phone. I don't think that's a great idea. If you knock the phone out of their hands, there's one of two outcomes. One, they go for the phone, and that gives you a chance to make an escape. Or two, they start the violence, and that's not really the outcome you want here. So he's still very concerned here. He's trying to disengage. He's trying to leave. And he tells them outright that he'll call the cops. He's like, but of course he can't call the cops right now because what is he going to do? Pull out the phone? Hello, 911, what's your emergency? Police, please hold. Yeah, police. There's two guys here who are currently beating my face in. That's not going to work. Calling the police takes some time. Calling the police is something that usually you don't have the luxury of doing when you're in the middle of a confrontation. People are typically able to call the police after the confrontation. So the guy keeps advancing, keeps coming after him, including continuing to play the threatening message. And he's not speaking directly. He's just continuing to play this, which again makes you wonder, what is this guy? Is he on drugs?
Yeah, do you think he finished his food delivery after this? That's a 5-star delivery.
Is he? Is there some mental illness? What is this guy doing? What is his purpose? He certainly isn't taking stop. He's not taking anything like that, and he's adopting a very aggressive stance, one that suggests that him and his buddy. I don't know if this guy's noticed the cameraman, but he is outnumbered 3-1. But he might only think that he's outnumbered 2-1. But I don't think it's unreasonable for him to think that he's about to take a serious beating here. This seems to me to be an entirely rational conclusion. We know after the fact that it's wrong. We know after the fact that conclusion is erroneous. But the only way we know that is because we've got the benefit of hindsight. This analysis here, this discussion, takes way longer than he had. Even if you just watch this video and think about it for a few seconds and...
Perceived threat versus actual threat seems like this whole debate. Yeah, usually I feel like the bar is a little bit higher to try to kill somebody. If this was not in a public place, so for instance, maybe if I saw the lead of the mall, maybe I'd change my mind. But if this was in an alley, I think I would be way more on the shooter's side. If they were on the street, or if this was at night in some place and the guy was not anywhere with other people, then I would be way on the other end. Okay, if they were in a parking lot, I would feel a lot differently about this. But the guy's in the middle of a mall. Damn, that's just so wild to me.
Then, post your thoughts online. You've had way more thinking time than this guy did, and under much better circumstances. This guy doesn't get to sit down in a comfortable chair, in a comfortable space, and hypothesize.
I said it's in your Discord. I don't want to... I'm traveling right now, and I can't be streaming for 15 hours. I don't want to do a whole debate on this. I can do it when I get back. I think I get home tomorrow. I don't even know if my Discord works. Fuck. Hold on 1 second. We're never going to get to the TV stuff.
You don't want to do this? You want to avoid doing this now?
Yeah, we can go for a little bit, I guess. My only issue is that we're basically creating a rule that, if anybody gets in your face and, starts, acting aggressive, that we can just shoot and kill them, I guess, in any area.
Well, no, I think the reasonable thing that this guy did was ask the person to stop while also retreating. But I do know that in Virginia specifically, you don't have to retreat for self-defense purposes. That's not a burden that you actually have to achieve for self-defense.
Yeah, but I guarantee you still have to show that there's imminent, severe, bodily harm or whatever could come to you. It's or you have to have a feeling about that. That's standard self-defense almost anywhere.
Yeah, so in this situation, even though the verdict was not guilty, it wasn't it was instantaneous. So obviously some people had reservations in regards to the whole verdict itself. I think that's why it came back initially split and then afterwards not guilty, which I think is probably accurate about how most people feel about this case. For a lot of people, they do see this as very reasonable self-defense, and that most people, if you got up in their face, they ask you to stop and get away from them 3-4 times, and you don't, and you keep advancing, then yeah, they would see you as someone who's going to cause imminent threat. And the thing is, I can't just wait to see what it is that you're going to do when you're getting up in my face with your hands and whatever it is that you're doing, because by the time I already figure it out, it might be too late. You've already shown that you're a threatening person when I've told you to get away from me, and you're continuing to advance, and obviously him being bigger, taller, all these things factor in. And the fact that he came with somebody else.
Let's say that there were a couple guys that were out with their kids at like a grocery store or a Target, and they got the wrong impression that some guy was like looking at their kid weird or touched their kid. They saw something incorrectly. They fucked up. And let's say the two guys approached like a smaller guy and like, yo, did you just touch our kid or what's going on here? And the guy's like, no, get the away from me. Like, no, hold on, what the did you do? Are you telling me that in your world that dude can blow both those guys away? He can kill both of them because they're getting in his face and being aggressive.
Yeah, probably. If he's telling them repeatedly to get away and they keep advancing on him, I think based off of how the law is set up over where you are, that would be reasonable to call myself. If they're approaching in a threatening manner, yeah. Is that not how the law over there works? Because that's what it sounds like.
In general, no, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure. I think you usually have to show. I say that, but it really depends. There have been some self-defense cases.
If those dads look like they were going to beat up that short person, okay, it's very reasonable for him to be like, I'm being threatened right now by two people, okay, who are angry about something I have no idea about, right? And they're advancing on me. Yeah, I can definitely see that being a valid self-defense case. Can you not? And you have to also think the burden of proof is on the prosecution to hit guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Can you really say beyond reasonable doubt?
Wait. No. Hold on. Careful, okay? For an affirmative defense, it's a little bit different. The burden is beyond a reasonable doubt. Hold on. This might actually depend on the state. But it's beyond a reasonable doubt to convict somebody of a criminal thing, a criminal charge. But if a person is using an affirmative defense, in some states, they have to show that their defense was like, you don't have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it wasn't self-defense. But I think that might depend on the state. So I would be careful in saying that it's here, yeah. Because I think for Rittenhouse, it was a little bit different, but...
Yes, he would have to show that he actually does meet the burden for self-defense. So that is something that the defense would have to do. But all this to say, I think you can make that case of self-defense. Many people have and have successfully.
Well, hold on. I think we gotta be a little careful. I agree that like a case for self-defense can be made here. So if the guy like sucker punched the dude in the face and ran or some shit like that, like I'd be like 100% that's okay. But we're talking about, can you kill somebody for getting in your face and being aggressive? Which I feel like is, like I said before, if this was happening in a different area, if he wasn't in the middle of a mall, I'd probably be on board with this. Again, if it was in the street or at night somewhere, but in the middle of a public area where there's just like two people like in your face, they're not even like screaming at him. They are being aggressive, but I don't think they've touched him at all yet, right? They're kind of in his face, but it could be more. Like, I don't know, man. In the middle of a mall, that just seems wild to me. But yeah, I don't know.
And that's fair for people to be torn on it and say, like, I don't know if I would say that's 100% justified. And I think that's where the jury really was. I think it's only because they were forced to push through and keep going that they eventually came back with a not guilty. But the jury is as torn as the public. So I think the law and how it was applied here is fairly indicative of how most people, at least the general public, feels about it. So I don't think this case coming back as not guilty is that absurd. Like, you making it sound like it's crazy, but like, isn't it that? Even you sound kind of torn on it.
No, that to pull that gun out and shoot that dude like that quickly, that was pretty wild. That's a pretty crazy video. That dude like almost.
Okay. So let me ask you: if the dude keeps following him, doesn't do anything, okay, but he just keeps repeating the action, at what point can the guy shoot him? Does he have to keep running?
I mean, like, if the guys haven't touched you yet. I'm trying to think of, like, if the guys haven't touched you yet and the guys haven't made an explicit threat. Because unless I misheard it, the guys didn't say anything like, we're going to get you, we're going to beat the shit out of you, they haven't made any threat yet, right? They haven't actually touched the guy at all yet. The guy's not even, he's kind of trying to get away, but not really. Like, it's not like the guy is running. Now, like, if the guy started running, he's like, yo, get the fuck, and he starts running, and the two dudes, like, come running after him, maybe a little bit, but, like, damn, this guy, somebody said in chat, the whole interaction was, like, 17 seconds. I don't know how much of an effort he even made to like really move away. But I mean, people are saying there's no duty to retreat if somebody's being aggressive to you in a public area. Maybe, but
I know for a fact for self-defense case law in Virginia, you don't need to retreat. You don't have that responsibility. And my question is, how long would he have to retreat while still enduring the same thing with someone literally being up in his face with that phone the way he was initially being surrounded? How long before he can react is what I'm asking you. Is there like a time threshold for you? You've already said no multiple times or stop and try to move the guy away. The guy kept advancing in a threatening manner, which you may not see it as threatening, but I think for most people, when a big dude is
the guy,
approaching,
it was definitely like threatening, but like there was no physical contact, there was no explicit threat made. It was spooky for sure. I'm just trying to think of like it feels like if anybody ever got confused and thought that you were doing something you weren't supposed to, or whatever, got in your face about it, is it carte blanche to just kill anybody then at that point?
I would say this: if he'd not said stop 3 times, I think I would be on your side of the story. Okay, if he'd not retreated from the person and the dude advanced on him, or like if he'd not retreated, sorry, let me rephrase that. If he had not retreated and he just pulled out the gun and started shooting, I might have also felt different. But he retreated and he said stop multiple times and the dude kept advancing. It is reasonable. I could see from his perspective how he felt threatened and he really felt like there was a harm.
Yeah, okay, hold on. You keep saying this thing. You keep saying he felt threatened. I'm not saying he didn't feel threatened. I don't know why people keep repeating this, like, did he feel threatened? Nobody's disagreeing that he wasn't threatened. It was, do you feel like you're threatened to suffer severe and imminent bodily harm? The argument is not whether he was threatened. Clearly he's threatened. Anybody getting in your face is a type of threat. But was it reasonable for him to fear for his life at that point? In the middle of a mall with 2 guys that are up, like, kind of in your face for 15 seconds? Is that enough to say, I feel so threatened that I'm going to kill, where they haven't laid eyes on you, they haven't made an explicit threat?
I think it's reasonable here, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there no thought of like just, this is the reason this is wild to me is because is there no thought of a just proportional response? Like, is it because it just seems crazily disproportional to shoot or kill somebody?
No. There's no proportional response when it comes to these types of situations where the guy is so much taller, right? Because realistically, the short guy is not about to be like, I'm going to punch you. He's probably not going to like, maybe he could sucker punch him and run, but he's probably not going to be like boxing with the dude, right?
Well,
but
no,
I'm
but
thinking,
it's,
like,
it's a matter of
people around you, though, right? Like, hey, like you're in a crowded mall, like, want to say something.
Because you don't know.
No, it's not.
You don't know if the other person's trained. You don't know if the moment you go to punch them, they decide to pull out a knife or pull out a gun. You don't have the luxury of waiting. When someone aggressive to you,
okay, wait, hold on. Are we?
Of course, you have available.
Wait, are we genuinely making? So I can understand what you're saying to a degree. Obviously, like if I don't know, if you're like a severely disabled person and this person's aggressively walking towards you or something, obviously there's probably like a much more rational reason to worry about the risk in actually getting the shit beaten out of you by this guy or killed by this guy. But like, I feel like it's just obviously the case that just the fact that one guy is shorter than another, I'm getting aggressively walked towards, so therefore I can shoot and kill the person if I genuinely think there's a threat to my like bodily harm. Like that just seems completely crazy to me.
It doesn't even matter if he's taller or not. I don't even care about that. If some dude is coming to attack you with his fist, doesn't matter. You don't have to reply with a fist. You can pull out your gun and blast him in the face. As far as
no, but he wasn't okay. But Eva, they weren't really doing that, right? Like I understand. I'm not saying he didn't have a reason to feel threatened to some degree, right? But obviously these weren't guys that like. I don't see how we can't say that this guy was thinking way over fucking reacting to what was happening to him. That just seems crazy to me, even if you think he was feeling threatened.
I just didn't think he was overreacting.
No, but that's crazy. Have you heard of Project Veritas?
But Abba, really quick. Okay, so do you think that every time? Here's a good example. Like, do you think that every single like police officer who's confronted with like an aggressive citizen, either through protest or in the line of duty, just immediately can kill that person if they can basically just say, "Oh, at one point I feel like I was being threatened by this person"?
I feel like cops are different because we would place a higher burden of like performance on them. Like we would expect them to act like with above a normal citizen, right?
Absolutely, that's definitely a portion of it. But I also feel like often cops do use the fact that they felt threatened in the situation to justify their shootings.
Well, yeah, but it's not. Right, but I get what you're saying, but the point is just that I feel like there's a lot of circumstances where, and I'm not saying circumstances where cops did shoot people, but I feel like if this was generally the rule, we would see like a Boston massacre a day, fucking, of cops like mowing down protesters because they, a protester's like banging on their shield and like getting in their face or something like that. Just seems.
I think the context of a
rule seems like be a crazy rule to have, like, oh yeah, that's like generally what we think about how you should handle those types of situations.
Yeah, I think the context of a protest is drastically different than the situation here.
Why?
Why?
A protest. Let's say it's a rowdy protest. There's a lot of Black Lives Matter protests that occurred in 2020 where there were people getting in the face of others and violence broke out. Why would you distinguish on those grounds? If anything, it seems like that would be more dangerous than a random.
That would be more dangerous. Exactly.
No, absolutely not. If I'm just walking and some random dude comes up in my face and then he's inches away from me in a situation where I'm not expecting anyone to get close to me, that is completely different than being at a protest where there's counter protesters across on the other side. I would feel far more threatened in that situation where this random dude and his friend approach me randomly. I feel like I might get robbed, I might get stabbed, I might get anything, rather than a protest where it's meant to be confrontational. Those are not the same things.
So at a protest and where there's individuals who are highly heated up, where there's, let's say some exchanges of people throwing rocks, people throwing random bottles on the ground in front of a cop, where tensions are high as they were in the summer of 2020. You're telling me that in that context, someone running up to your face and yelling at you in your face, you would consider that as someone on the other side, let's say a counter protester, police officer, you say it's less threatening than what occurred in that mall.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's insane. Have you heard of people like who do sting operations in public, like Project Veritas, or some of the people who are like do kind of To Catch a Predator stuff in public, where they're going up to people, kind of aggressively trying to show them their phone and saying, "Hey, have you seen this? Why did you do this?" Have you heard of that?
Project Veritas. Okay, yeah. What about?
Yeah, where James O'Keefe goes up to people in the middle of the public and tries to show them and is accosting them throughout the mall.
Yeah. Okay.
Show me this. Show me that. Distinguish that.
Okay. Do I think that's the same thing as this situation? No.
Why?
Why? Because I think it's different when it looks like the local news is following me versus when guys with hoodies and big tall like.
Are you fucking serious?
I'm absolutely serious. Yeah, I think that's completely different.
Oh, if you wore a suit, you would say not okay to shoot him.
Unironically, yeah, I think it's a lot different. Yeah, you're gonna feel a lot different, like looking at
wait, hang on a second. I just want to be clear. So what you're saying is the same exact conduct, but they're wearing suits. You can't shoot them.
If a dude in a suit walked up to me, I'm gonna see it very differently when he's got a big ass camera dude behind him that looks like a thing.
That's
like
not
that.
what I asked. Same exact conduct, but the only thing different is that they're wearing suits.
Yeah, I probably feel differently about it. Yeah, sure.
Okay, I think that's fucking crazy. That our basis of determining whether someone is a serious threat to life or serious bodily injury, the thing that's dispositive is whether or not they're dressed nicely.
I'm sorry, if James Bond rolls up on me, I'm gonna feel differently than if some dude in a hoodie rolls up on me. Like, I don't know what it is to tell. Like, that's just a fact. It's an absurd scenario that you've given me, but
okay,
you feel differently. Yeah.
So do you think
the same way I would feel differently if a midget rolled up on me versus like a 6'7" dude rolled up on me? Is it fair? Maybe not, but I don't care because I'm not really threatened by a dude in a suit the same way I'm threatened by a dude.
Wait, but do you remember Street Bike Karen?
What?
Do you remember that? Like, do you think that late? Do you remember the Street Bike Karen, the nurse who like had this controversy with the bike, and she was pregnant?
No, I don't remember that.
Fuck. Okay.
Oh,
well,
the
it's not
city
gonna.
bike. Could she have shot and
Yeah,
killed all
like
the guys at the?
Like, could she have taken out a gun and killed like all 5 or 6 of those guys in that scenario? That would be crazy. That would just be crazy.
Sorry, I'm so confused. Where's this going?
It's just you don't know the example, but like it's just an example where like, yeah, okay, so essentially this woman, these kids were hanging out, I guess, and it was like a group of like, I think it was like 5 or 6 like teenage black dudes, and they were trying to check out a bike, one of these like city bikes, and
and the lady wanted the bike, and she
wanted the bike, and they kind of surrounded her and like were yelling at her and whatnot, and she was kind of freaking out, and obviously she was feeling threatened. But like, I feel like under your scenario, she could have taken out a gun and killed like all 5 or 6 of those guys, like just wildly shooting, and that would have been justified self-defense. That just seems.
I think the argument here, though, for Abba is that like the disagreement was much more easily identifiable there, so it might not have been as justified. Maybe.
I mean, I haven't seen the video, so I don't know the parameters of why she would have felt threatened in that situation. But I don't know.
Also,
Well,
hold
she
on,
was just
wait, are we not allowed to use? That must be the case. I would be shocked if in court, if you're trying to prove self-defense, if like the attire and the appearance of a potential threat isn't part of that analysis.
I'm not saying it wouldn't. I'm not saying it wouldn't be relevant, but for Abba, it's dispositive.
When you say dispositive, do you mean he's using that as the sole determining factor?
No, that it changes the answer. That
Wait,
all I have.
hold on. Yeah, wait, but that's all threat analysis is to some extent dispositive. Like it will change the answer. No.
So it's a factor that's big enough and significant enough in this case. That is to say, the conduct in this case by itself is not enough to push it over the edge. It's the conduct plus attire, right? So if I can think of a lot of things that a person in a suit could do where there would be justified deadly self-defense. But in this particular case, it's not enough. What I was saying is not enough the conduct by itself. It's the conduct plus them being dressed in hoodies.
Well, sure, but the conduct itself, I don't even think Abba would say that. It's probably the entire totality of the circumstances. It's the fact that there's
if
three
you take
people
out one of those factors, if you substitute one factor, that is, you substitute hoodie for I don't know, it was a collared shirt. What if they're in collared shirts?
I think it would be fair to look at them a lot differently if all 3 were wearing suits. I think that could be dispositive.
Okay,
sure.
so
Yeah.
all right, if it's dispositive there, Abercrombie and Fitch, they're all wearing preppy clothing.
Probably starts to feel a little bit different there, but
Yeah. Well, hold on, Pisco. If they showed up in like bulletproof vests and like face masks, would I do I have the right to feel more?
Yeah, but those clothings are. I agree that clothing is a relevant consideration, but in this case, it sounds like there's no the conduct is going up to someone, showing them the phone, and not stopping when they say stop. That sounds like regular garden variety harassment. There's a lot of harassment that occurs on a daily basis, and what your rule would allow is for each one of those moments to be a potential deadly threat where deadly force is justified. How many times does something like that in your daily life occur where you see it happen? It happens in New York all the time. And you want to convert all those situations into potential deadly self-defense moments, even though the vast majority of them don't ever result in a danger.
I mean, listen, I don't know how often those kinds of things happen that you're describing. I don't know how often people are being surrounded by 2 people and then having their personal space infringed upon and then repeatedly saying, no, get away from me, while the people are advancing. I don't know how often that really happens with no violence following, but I could assure you that for most people, if that happened, a lot of them would turn to violence.
Okay, so then what I'm telling you is that situations of harassment, especially among people who are well known each other, acquaintances, people who are in the same apartment building, where they go up to each other and they shout over things that are known, situations where you're in someone's face. My proposition is that occurs with commonality in the West and in the United States.
Yeah, and they turn into fights most of the times, or they turn into physical violence very commonly. I'm not going to say most of the times because I can't prove it, but they oftentimes turn into physical violence. You can't get that close to somebody while they tell you back off, and then someone starts swinging. That happens all the time.
A lot of the times they don't. And here,
and I would actually say, as somebody that spent some time in cities, and I could be wrong, but I would say that the vast majority of the times they don't turn out into fights. Like, there are fights that happen, and fights can be quote unquote common because they're big cities. But most of the time when people are shouting at each other, they shout at each other. It's uncomfortable. People might like look, but then people generally just like fuck off. Like, I wouldn't say that like even 10% of those turn into actual fist fights. Most of the time people just fuck off and walk away.
Have you seen
I would say this. I think it just depends on what kind of neighborhood you're around. I can assure you that in a lot of places that I've visited, you can never do that and not expect to get punched or shot at. You just can't do that. You just can't approach somebody, get up in their face, they tell you back up, and you keep advancing. They're not going to wait for you to do something.
I understand what you're saying, but like, unfortunately, like you're completely wrong. Like, there are so many firearms in the United States. If what you were saying was true, we would see like 20,000 shootings like every single day in the U.S. If every time 2 people got in each other's face, there was a shooting. Like, it would be a cascade of mass shootings every single day. There are over 300 million firearms in the U.S. Like, it would just be insane. No.
I just don't think what you guys are describing happens often in the kinds of places.
It does, bro. You know the amount of road rage, the amount of people being angry, shout at each other. If you go to any like political rally, if you're of the other side, the people are yelling at you, coming in your face. Really, in this political climate, happens all the time. In protests, to say nothing, even left-wing protests. Often left-wing protests, I have to say.
I don't take protests the same. I feel like that's a different context. I would just not compare that.
Okay, well, okay. So then you're going to make a.
That's like telling me like, oh, a fight press conference.
The thing is, I'm gonna,
and it doesn't get.
I'm gonna create a bunch of categories, and you're gonna discount them and make them the category they own. So now I'm gonna talk to you about bars and people getting up in your face in bars.
Okay, what about
that? Happens a lot, doesn't it?
Sure, yeah.
You think that if someone comes up to you like, hey, that's my seat, bro, or like, and you're surprised or something, in the same kind of context where people
I want to
yell at you at a bar.
Yeah, and those turns into fights all the time.
Okay, I mean, so your rule would generate more deadly self-defense and more shootings.
To be clear, what I'm saying is if you didn't initiate a situation and someone starts invading in your space, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that you have a real valid claim to self-defense. If someone, bars or places like that, oftentimes that's two people engaging in something. You lose the right to self-defense when you contribute to the situation, right? When it's one person encroaching on another person's space and continues to do so after repeated warnings, you have a right to self-defense.
Deadly self-defense should only be used if there's a reasonable fear of imminent serious bodily injury or death. That's our rule. We leave it only for the most, because remember, this is a rule that allows you to summarily, without any due process, end someone's life. And so we only reserve it for them.
It's not if there's, it doesn't have to do with the actual threat, right? It has to do with the perception of the threat.
Reasonable fear, yeah.
Yeah, so that's, yeah.
It's whether the fear is reasonable.
I think, Abba, I don't disagree, Abba, with the argument that you're making. I feel like we're drawing the line at a different place, or we just might, like I said here, if it happened at a different place, if it wasn't in the middle of a law, if these guys had made a specific threat, if they'd actually touched him, I think I would probably lean towards his side, but god damn, dude, 15 seconds to just like whip out a Glock and shoot somebody over a couple guys in your face with a cell phone. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but
I'm not far off from you. Initially, when I saw it, I thought like, listen, if you pulled out the strap, you could at least tone them back up after that. But someone else told me like, if you pull it out, you got to use it. You can't pull it out because I think I don't know if this is actually accurate. You guys can tell me. Apparently, if you just pull out your firearm and you don't, you can get charged with brandishing a firearm.
Yes, so that's true. But if you pull out your firearm and shoot somebody, you can get charged with attempted murder. So, yeah, brandishing a firearm is technically quote unquote illegal. But I'm sure there must be some affirmative defensive purpose to brandish a firearm. If you can do it for killing somebody or shooting someone, you could definitely do it for brandishing a firearm.
Right? But isn't that crazy? You can't even use it to like de-escalate a situation, right?
Which can.
Well, hold on. Whoa. It's not crazy at all that you don't want people brandishing firearms in public. But you could do it, but it would just be another type of affirmative defense. We'd say, yeah, I did this thing you're not normally supposed to do, but I had a good reason for it, if they decided to charge you with it, right?
Okay.
But,
I just want to go after Steven for a second. You are so hypocritical.
Oh, are you actually doing this?
Yeah, I'm 100% doing this. You're over here sounding reasonable.
Pisco ate so many of this is Destiny's World pills that he thinks I'm on the unironic infinite self-defense train.
No, listen.
Okay,
listen,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Pisco.
How can you stand here or sit here? I don't know if you're sitting. Oh, that's a cute little animal you got back there. How can you sit there and be all reasonable about, well, is 15 seconds enough? But then, like, if someone's taking a candy bar or your blade of grass, you can fire away. It's just so inconsistent.
I think because it all has to do, I think, with like a reasonable expectation of punishment for actions, or like what is we've talked about this, like putting a person on notice or whatever for things that are going on, right? Like if a sign clearly says shoplifters will be shot, and you walk in.
He said stop. Well, no, sorry.
He didn't say stop. I had a gun. Hold on, whoa. Just to be clear, if the guy was like stop, I had a gun, and those guys didn't back off immediately, at that point, fucking Rambo, AK-47, 30 round extended mags, 60, 80 round mags in both, I'd be fully for it. Okay, but God. Just to be clear.
I hear you, but before I thought that you were saying that stores, whether or not they have signs that say we're going to shoot you, they could, as Trump said, shoot the motherfuckers if they steal.
I feel like when we had this conversation last time, I feel like we both agreed that there's probably some reasonable notice that a person needs to have to know that they're going to be shot. So like a sign saying shoplifters will be shot, we could argue is a type of reasonable notice a person could be put on, right?
Okay, but if you don't have that sign is necessary, is what you're saying.
Unless it's like a societal construct that people are known to be shot and killed when shoplifting or something, sure. That would be like one example of it. Or like if a guy is shouting, if a guy's looking at you at a store and he's saying, "Hey, if you take that candy, I'm looking right at you. I'm gonna shoot and kill you." Then, hey, go for it.
Wait, but Dusty, what if you have like, okay? What about in a scenario where I don't know, like you're some rural person and they send like a Census Bureau representative to get you to go fill out your census, but you have a fence and you have a sign that says, trespassers will be shot. But obviously, you're a Census Bureau person. You go to their door. Can that person just like shoot and kill the fucking Census Bureau worker?
This would be way different because you're involving like the entire system of government you're in. There's probably some necessary consent to living under government's rules. I don't do sovereign citizen shit. Like, if you want to do that, you can. But then at that point, you're just fine going to war with like your fucking neighbors if they, steal electricity from you or something. Like,
no, it's not that. It's like you have a sign that says trespassers will be shot, and then this person trespasses onto your property.
He's not.
Like,
he's not. He's a representative of the state, and the state probably has.
No, but you don't know that. You don't know that. He's 100 yards away. You shoot him from a distance or whatever.
If you don't know that, I mean, there's probably going to be some expectation for the property owner to be aware of like like for instance, I'm sure that there's probably are these called easements where you have agreements with other people for shared access to property. Like if the cable guy was coming because the neighbor's cable was out and he wants to inspect the tap on your backyard. Like, I'm sure they provide you notice. If you miss the letter in the mail and he's there, you can't just, like, assassinate people coming into your yard because you weren't aware that they had, authorization to be there. That would be, or rather, you could shoot them, but then you would face first-degree premeditated murder because you should have been aware of, like, your responsibility as property owner who was going to your property. Like,
wait, but then why? What? Then how can you kill somebody for stealing a blade of grass from your lawn just because they have notice?
It's stupid. No,
it's not. Hold on. Wait.
Yeah,
Hold on.
yeah,
Just go. Stop. Turn your brain on. My position might be stupid, but that's coherent. There's a difference between a person is on notice and does something bad that they're told, if you do this, you will die, versus another person thinks they're fully within their right to be on your property and go and work there, and then they do it and then you kill them anyway. Even if you can say it's a dumb position, but it's not incoherent. It is incredibly consistent.
That's what I said. I said it was stupid.
No, but you agreed with him that the position was stupid, but he wasn't saying it was stupid. He was saying it was incoherent. Those are two.
Well, I don't know if
but
I can comprehend it, so it's coherent. But I think it's stupid.
I feel like the issue is that
follows a logical set of rules that lead us from one set of axioms to a set of rules. That's all logically.
It's coherent.
You might disagree with those rules.
But Destiny, the issue is that obviously, so the issue I feel like is a bit of a contradiction because if you give somebody, what do you call it? If you give somebody notice, right? That notice you mentioned can be in the form of a sign, right? That says, trespassers will be shot or shoplifters will be shot or something like that. And if you're saying, okay, well, no, but you can't just assume the person on your property doesn't have the right to be there. Well, you're basically saying that you have to do notice and then a little bit something else, right? Because you're putting the onus on the person that's given the notice.
No, well, the onus is on. Hold on.
Analyze the situation.
No. The onus is on both parties to make sure they're following these agreements to their best understanding. For instance, if cable guys are coming to work on your property, they normally try to contact you first. Like, especially in rural areas, a guy is not just going to walk into your property and start working on shit without notifying you first. At least from where I'm from, that's a de facto rule. I'm pretty sure, and maybe people just talk shit for the farms that I've been on, but like if you're wandering around in people's like farms and shit, like either near the animals or in the fields or whatever, you fully expect that you could get shot if somebody catches you. So
you sound like a ANCAP. Can I just say, like, could you make a sign?
This is what they told me where in the place that I hung out. They said, be careful where you go, don't wander on a neighbor's property, because if you walk into the wrong spot, they could kill you if they see you around their property. At least in the farm areas where I was at when I did fucking my horseback shit when I was a kid, okay? That's what they told me, okay? Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that when people go onto your property, they generally make a good faith effort to notify you of who they are, they look a certain way, and they try to make sure that you're aware of what's going on. You don't have people just sneaking on your property.
If somebody's on your land and they're wearing a suit, would you shoot them? Versus like if they were wearing
well, that depends on if they've got the Project Veritas camera with them or not.
Wait. No, the question is always not would you do it. It's do you have the right to? Is it reasonable to? And it sounds like Steven's saying that people for themselves can make their own signs and whatever standard they want. So you could have a sign on your chest that says if you touch me at all, I get to shoot you, and you would be like that's reasonable because you're on.
Hey, listen, if the sign is clearly red from a vision.
No, come on, really?
Listen, this is my perspective. I understand you disagree, but the world we live in now, listen, there needs to be way less fucking around and way more finding out. If you're that retarded, retarded.
Yeah,
Don't touch me.
Destiny,
If a guy's saying, "Don't touch me, or I'm going to shoot you," don't touch me, or I'm going to shoot you, and then you touch him, maybe you need to get shot once or twice to figure out what's going on.
You do
But
not believe this.
Yeah.
Destiny, don't you think that's somewhat like chilling to just sort of like your regular, ordinary living circumstance to some degree? Because like I can imagine a scenario where like a police force, for instance, adopts the idea that, hey, look, if you protest and we perceive it as violent, we're going to hold up a red sign. And if that red sign is up, that means if you're not inside your house in the next 20 minutes, we're going to kill you.
What?
We're going to murder you.
How do we get from, hold on, how do we get from personal defense of bodily autonomy to outlawing First Amendment rights to protest?
Because I'm saying that that's an example where that kind of logic could be chilling to...
Oh, no. That logic doesn't carry over at all, because one is like the state... Well, hold on. If you want to...
They're putting you on notice.
If you want to stretch that logic really, really hard, I mean, we kind of already do that to some extent. There are states and cities that will say, hey, curfew, 10 o'clock, and then the police come out and they beat your ass. So that already happens to some extent. I don't even know if
Right, but that's fucked up, right?
Is it?
You know? I feel like, yeah, kind of.
I don't think that's up. I think that if if protests are getting violent, if severe property damage is happening or is imminent, and the cops want to say, listen, do your protest and shit, but past 10 o'clock, get the off the streets, I think that's totally fair. I don't think you need to
What if they
protest at
said?
11:30
What if they
at
said
night.
past 10 o'clock, protesters will be shot, and then protesters were out past 10, and then they shot them?
I mean, there's probably, because you have police officers, there's probably a more reasonable escalatory pathway to violence there, but that's because we entrust police officers with a monopoly on violence, so we hope that they conduct themselves in a much higher way. So, for instance, in this exact same circumstance that we just saw, if that police officer, if the delivery driver was a cop, I would have a higher burden on him to act better than to just instantaneously shoot a guy. Like, I would be expecting him to take a more proper de-escalatory pathway, but I wouldn't put that same onus on a citizen.
Wild.
How do you guys feel about Destiny's on find out take? You guys
Well,
okay
this
with
one,
it?
Tisco always has
it's
hated me on this
stupid.
take. So.
Yeah, no, like because Steven will jump around, but obviously it
Oh
doesn't
my
make
God.
sense. It doesn't make sense to allow citizens for themselves to define the scope of the deadly self-defense right. And if everything reduces down to reasonable notice, then it sounds like people could have their own kind
Wait,
of.
hold on. What did you
esoteric-
just say? Can't citizens already define the scope of their deadly self-defense right?
No. You couldn't say something like put a sign on your chest that says, "If you touch me, I will shoot you." That wouldn't be allowed.
No, sure, yeah, that would probably be extreme. I don't know if I would
Yeah.
actually go for that law, but I'm pretty sure you can shoot somebody for being on your property.
So if you in certain states you can.
Yes,
I think
okay.
Texas is the most liberal in that sense, in the sense of letting you have that freedom. But I think it has to be at night, and that has to do with the nexus between what people might do on your property at night and the nexus with a reasonable fear of your life for a serious bodily injury. I agree. Oftentimes at burglary, you have a right to deadly self-defense in those cases because you don't know exactly what the threat is going to be if someone's burglarizing.
Yes.
But again, it has to do with the nexus of serious bodily injury or
Sure,
life.
you can use that word nexus to serious bodily injury all you want, but I'm pretty sure in Texas, I think you can shoot somebody in your backyard, way before any bodily threat is incurred or even threatened, or you could have time to call the police, or you could do warning shots or whatever.
Just be aware, Stephen. You're referencing the most liberal. I'm using liberal because it's a right? So the most liberal self-defense rights in the entire country, and even there, my understanding is that it has to be at night when there is absolutely no fear for reasonable life or bodily injury. That's my understanding of Texas law.
Sure.
But the majority rule in most states is it has to be fear for your life or serious bodily injury or some other qualifying crime like rape or deadly assault or robbery or something like that. But there's a clear nexus, right? But in those instances where there is no such nexus, I just think it's escalate it like you would. And in this particular case where if you have a gun, I don't have a problem with him saying, "Hey, I have a gun, step off." Alba, why wouldn't you make that person do that before they shoot?
If you really feel like this person is going to attack you, which this person had valid reasons to think, then you announcing that may give them the drop to use whatever weapon they have. So that would be one of the reasons why you wouldn't do that. It's the same reason why people say don't pull out your gun, just tell them you're going to shoot, and they tell you to just use it at that moment, because you should already be at a point where you really think that this person's going to attack you.
Okay, and that's true of almost any then it sounds like self-defense just collapses to deadly self-defense in every situation. Because what you're describing is any time where you're reducing the potential effectiveness of your self-defense by not using a gun, you shouldn't be forced to incur that risk, and so therefore a gun is justified because by
Wait, hold on, Pisco, you believe that, right?
I believe that. 100%.
No, I don't.
No, Pisco, you believe that, right? Or are you telling
No,
me
I
that
don't.
if a 75-year-old grandma is approached by a 25-year-old big-ass thuggin' hardcore dude, that she has to take escalatory paths of...
No.
Okay,
I'm
so
not
in that
saying
case,
that. So-
then can you tell me, in that case,
Well, I
does
just
her
wanna be clear.
self-defense always collapse to deadly self-defense then?
As to physical, yes, I think you take the victim as you see them. So if there's a physical assault that's coming upon like a cancer patient or something, then yeah, that you take the
Okay,
victim
so
as
then,
you see them.
okay, hold on, because
That's not
you
what
tried
I'm
to make
saying. No.
you tried to make Abba sound crazy for that, but that was exactly what Abba said, and you agree with him 100%.
No. Abba is saying that regardless of the threat to your life,
No,
Or this is- I understand
no, that is not what Abba is saying.
That's
You're not
not
letting me
Watch,
talk. You're
watch,
not
hold
letting me
on.
talk.
I can
You're not
disprove.
even letting me talk. You don't even know
No,
what
I'm
I'm
not.
saying.
No.
Let him
Hold on.
restate.
No. I'm gonna ask Abba one quick question because this whole line of training you're about to go down is Abba. If those guys were 20 yards away from them, do you think the guy could have said, "Hey, I've got a gun, get back," or do you think he would still be able to pull it out and snipe them from 20 yards away?
I think you wouldn't be justified in doing that, honestly.
Okay,
Wait,
there.
I'm
So
going to ask a clarifying question. Abba, can you identify any situation or example in which using force but not deadly force would be justified?
Using force, but not deadly force.
Yep.
No, I don't think so. No.
wait, hold on,
My
stop,
point,
hold on.
Steven,
Abba just DM'd me what he was gonna say.
Hold on. But go on. Just follow on with that train of thought.
No,
Instead of a guy-
because you don't even believe that.
Oh, that-
Hold on. Abba, if I walked up to you and I said I was gonna beat your ass, do you think that your immediate response to shoot me and kill me would be okay?
No.
No, why? Because you're slightly taller than me.
Why? Why
and a
should you
little
have
bit
to risk
larger than me.
yourself? Wait. Abba, he could get the drop on you.
It depends. It depends on the context. Is he right up in my face and making that threat? Is he at a distance? Like obviously,
He's
I'm
20 feet away.
and he's advancing on me,
Yeah.
and I'm telling him don't come forward. He's still doing it. Yeah. Absolutely, a blast.
No, Abba, no!
my God.
Abba, what are you doing?
Jesus Christ.
Hold up, Steven. I don't even think what I just said is crazy. If you've made a threat on me in terms of violence, and you are approaching me, and I've told you to step back, and you keep approaching me, yeah. What do you mean? Why should I wait for you to get in range? That's
That's
crazy.
what I was talking about, Steven.
Oh
You
my
can take
god!
that
What if
out.
it was like a 12-year-old boy or something doing the same thing? Like,
Exactly.
would you
Hold on.
would you just blow him away?
Obviously, if it's a kid, it's gonna be different. But I don't even see what I.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait. Hey, no. It's not going to be different, Abba, because kids can kill you. Kids can kill you.
Yeah, kid can get a knife in a lot of areas, Abba.
15-year-old, 16-year-old. Why does it matter if they're coming over to push you?
Listen,
why should
Cat
you have to
Williams got
subject
his ass
yourself?
beat by a high schooler, right?
Because any reasonable hold up, you guys maybe it's because you guys live in debate land, so you just sound like retards. But hold up, but I'm obviously going to treat a 12-year-old or a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old.
But not Steven?
Hold up, or an old
What do you
lady
mean by that?
in her 80s. Hold up. I'm obviously going to treat them differently in terms of how much.
Not Steven? Why don't you treat Steven differently?
What do you mean?
You're going to treat an old lady and a kid differently than Steven?
Are you trying to say Steven is just so dainty he can't be a threat?
No, I'm saying that between you two, I thought you guys are very strong, right? Abba and Preach, you guys are like fitness people.
Not really, but sure.
This is Steven's example.
Not at all.
I thought you guys lifted it.
Hold on,
listen.
Abba. The broad point that was.
No, stop. This is stupid. The moment you're a grown ass man capable of using weapons, I don't care whether or not you're Steven's height, or I don't care if you're 6 foot. Like obviously, those are gonna be from a legal standpoint gonna factor in. But if you're making a threat on my life and advancing, you could be 5'6" or 6'5". I'm gonna probably.
What if you're like a 4'5" little person?
Yeah, sure. 4 foot.
What if you're like a
Tyrion
28-year-old
Lannister.
4'5" little person?
If you're a dwarf, I'm gonna give you 2 more chances to stop. You know what I'm saying? But
Well, yeah, exactly. That's kind of the point, right?
No,
yeah, absolutely. But I don't even know why you guys are going like, oh God. I'm like, everyone thinks this way.
No.
Well, yeah.
Even you, hold up, even you, whether you recognize or not, you are having subconscious biases in regards to who you see as a threat, whether you're consciously aware
Yeah,
of it
of
or not.
You're
course.
right, Abba. You are right,
100%.
but people are also
Yeah, of
generally
course.
making they're doing these like calculations in their head for how threatening somebody is. If a guy walks up to you and he's 5'2" and he's shouting at you, you're not going to treat that guy the same way as if like a 6'5" or 6'7" NBA player is walking up to you threatening you, right? It's going to be different, right?
Yes, mentally it's going to be different. But my point is if you're approaching me in a threatening manner and you're an adult man, whether you're going to be 6'5" or you're going to meet that threshold of a deadly threat if you're making a threat and advancing like that.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Also,
There's no situation in which regular force would be justified where deadly force wouldn't.
wow.
That's my point.
And that was an amazing take. I love you all, but I have to leave. I can't be screwed
Oh
up.
God!
What? It's
You're
fucking
running away, bro.
What?
You're running away from your hypocrisy.
It's too. I've got it. I'm traveling. Okay. I'm doing things. I'll be home tomorrow night. Okay. We can.
Hey, congratulations on the bridge building with Vosh.
Well, I was going to talk about it tonight, but you guys derailed it all. So.
Oh,
Yeah, well,
Now
your whole Reddit wants to know, are you guys making friends now? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I have to think about. I don't know.
You should do
The
it.
biggest thing that, honest to God, the biggest thing that is influencing my decision right now is looking at the different communities' reactions to the conversation. Makes me just want to say no, unless somebody in the communities does something to address it. Because my whole subreddit was like, bridge building, Vosh so handsome, he speaks okay, like look at these jokes and blah 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 blah. Vosh's whole subreddit was like, why is Destiny a contrarian fascist transphobe fuck who is like just being contrarian and liberal the entire. It's like, bro, really? I don't know, but I don't know.
But communities aside, how did you feel about the interaction?
Community side, Kevels came up and she basically like fully apologized for almost everything. I don't want to throw Kevels under the bus or anything, but like, I mean, I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. Kevels seems chill. I'm willing to give him another chance. You know, who knows? Her and the NB person guy. I don't know if he goes by guy or girl or what the fuck their pronouns are. I think Vosh basically just pretended that like nothing happened and wanted to continue to pretend that nothing happened, which ordinarily would be okay if it wasn't that like his roommate and his entire community tried to get my entire career killed like 5 different times.
Okay, well, I'm glad that at least the Keffel stuff is behind, so you guys can all move past that. As far as the Vosh thing goes, that's still on the rocks. You're not sure yet, right?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. There's also the thing that, like, I know that if I mobilize my community, like, this is an effort. I feel like at the end of the day, this canvassing effort is going to be carried, like, 95% by my community. So do I really want to make such a huge concession to somebody else for such little support? But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But, anyway, I don't know. I love you guys.
all right, keep it real.
Yeah, be careful. Except for you, Pisco, because I know what your world looks like, and nobody wants that world, Pisco.
All right, I love you guys. Bye bye.
All right, I love you all very much. Bye. All right, I love you guys. It's been fun. Ripperino, cappuccino, pappuccino, huppuccino, mappuccino, dappuccino, cappuccino, appuccino, appuccino, my dear Dorinos.